The fish rots from the head down. The minister was caught cashing checks from a lobbying firm that was lobbying his own government, his own ministry.
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today, there's not one day that goes by where these crooks in Justin Trudeau's cabinet are not breaking news. We've got Randy Bolsonaro, who's been basically caught stealing Canadians' tax dollars. This is outrageous. There's two different stories. Global News broke these. We've got quite a few video clips. The Conservatives are all over this. But first, before we get into that, so you guys know what's going on here, two different articles from Global News. You can see this one, federal minister's ties to lobbyists raise ethical concerns. Randy Bolsonaro, so basically he is in Edmonton Centre. That's his riding, and he lost that in 2019. And he won that seat back in 2021. But in those 2 years, he reactivated a business of his, and he also started a new business. One of them is here, Xenex Venture Catalysts. The other is a medical company, Global Health Imports Corporation. So we go back to the lobbyist one. It says here, after he won the September 2020 election, he was named Tourist Minister and Associate Finance Minister. Bolsonaro began winding down his small consulting business, Xenex Venture Catalysts, which he ran out of his home. This is legally required as it's a conflict of interest. They can't have a business on the side and then award contracts to their own business. But that's what's basically happened here. So what he did is he passed this, I think they have a thing down here. There we go. So he hired her, Christian Poon, and he basically passed the business off to her. And you can see here, so there's his business down there. So he kind of passes that over to her. You can see this gets pushed over to this group, Navis Group, but then they registered this as 2050800 Alberta Limited, this corporation number. So whenever they reported this to the government, they used this name, but they never used Navis Group, which basically hid the name of the corporation so they couldn't link it back to him. And so you can basically see here the different arrows: Transport Canada, Edmonton International Airport Transport. This is the contract they had. There's only one contract they had with this company. She was the lobbyist for this, and you can see here there's a direct connection here, Edmonton Centre, Federal Liberal Association to Randy Bolsonaro. So this is a conflict of interest. Don't worry, we'll get more into this with the video clips. If we jump into this one, Federal Minister Cabinet Randy Bolsonaro linked to PPE company embroiled in lawsuits. So this one, he started up a medical company after he lost 2019 election. His company outbid multinational companies on pandemic contracts, such as disinfectant wipes and isolation gowns. When he was appointed back in the fall of 2021, he remained listed as a director for GHI in provincial and federal business registries. The company went on to win at least $8.2 million in contracts. This is gross, dude. We've got three clips here, two with Michael Barrett, one with Michael Cooper. Let's jump into this.
Speaker, the sole Liberal minister from Alberta is at the centre of two corruption scandals. It has been reported that the minister is tied to a lobbyist who received a staggering $110 million in federal contracts, and the minister is the director of the company that received a further $8 million of government contracts and is engulfed in allegations of fraud and wire fraud. So how much money did this minister and his companies receive from these shady contracts?
This is a Rive Scam 2.0.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier in response to our other honourable friend, the minister has always followed the strict ethics rules that apply to him as an elected official. Canada has one of the strictest ethics regimes in the world for elected officials, and that is exactly what Canadians expect. The minister has always conducted himself in an ethical manner that follows the spirit and letter of those rules.
They should make him speak. This is ridiculous.
From St. Albert, Edmonton.
Speaker, the minister has been on the take with taxpayers' money. The minister retains a 50% stake in a company that is engulfed in allegations of fraud, and the minister continues to receive payments from the lobbying firm that received $110 million in federal contracts. So will the minister finally have the guts to stand in his place and tell Canadians how much he pocketed off taxpayers?
This is gross. The fact he's not talking is even worse.
I will come back to this matter later, but I do warn members, please, to be very careful about what they say about other honourable members.
You be careful about being biased, dude.
Mr. Speaker, in this House, all members are entitled to be treated by other members with a presumption of being honourable. That is not what this member has just done. I would invite him to carefully consider the words that he just employed while doing a speech into a television camera, one that he would never do were we outside this chamber. And I would invite that member to be very, very careful with his words in the future.
I'd invite McKinnon there to be very careful with his words, stealing $110 million of taxpayers' money. You guys are outrageous. These people better be in jail. All right, next up, we got a clip here from a committee of Michael Barrett digging into this.
Now imagine the advantage of competing for government contracts against a company that had a member of Justin Trudeau's federal cabinet listed as one of the directors. And that's why such a scenario is in fact prohibited. So this week, Chair, Global News revealed two investigative pieces that they've been working on. The first is one that I mentioned yesterday. That's that a series of meetings between lobbyist Kristen Poon and high-level political staff across multiple federal departments aimed those meetings at securing $110 million in federal grants for the Edmonton International Airport. Now, these efforts occurred between 2021 and 2022 and involved Poon's connection to Justin Trudeau's cabinet minister, Randy Boissonnault, who represents Edmonton Centre. Now, Mr. Boissonnault, in transitioning from his consulting business to his ministerial role, delegated control of his business to Poon, who resumed his lobbying activities. Now, Mr. Boissonnault gave his former business partner his only client, which is the Edmonton Regional Airport Authority. The minister's influence, of course, is attached to that transfer. So this firm lobbied the Edmonton Airport Authority, an organization regulated by the government on federal government land, with board members appointed by the government, the same government that Mr. Boissonnault is now a member of. And Mr. Boissonnault was collecting payments from the company that was lobbying his government. So this, of course, raises incredible both concerns with respect to the Lobbying Act, but also the Conflict of Interest Act and the Conflict of Interest Code for members.
Yeah, conflict of interest. This is a breach of ethics. This guy needs to go to jail. We have so many losers in our government. These people are all thieves and crooks. It's just a big den of thieves in there.
But now there's a second report from Global News that revealed that Justin Trudeau's cabinet minister, Randy Boissonnault, remained listed as a director of Global Health Imports Corporation, GHI, for over a year after his 2021 election. Now, Mr. Boissonnault has claimed that he has no involvement with GHI since his election, but the company co-founded by Mr. Boissonnault in 2019 after his electoral defeat secured contracts totaling $8.2 million from other levels of government, provincial and municipal governments, for pandemic supplies. Now imagine the advantage of competing for government contracts against a company that had a member of Justin Trudeau's federal cabinet listed as one of the directors. And that's why such a scenario is in fact prohibited by law. Now, I would be remiss not to mention that GHI faced multiple lawsuits for unpaid bills, unfulfilled deliveries, resulting in default judgments totaling over $7.8 million. Allegations of fraud, wire fraud, were made against Mr. Boissonnault's GHI co-founder, Stephen Anderson, in one of the lawsuits. And despite winning lawsuits, suppliers struggled to recoup owed funds from Minister Boissonnault's company that he was still listed as a director for, GHL, raising questions about the legitimacy of its operation and the fairness of its bidding process. Chair, the motion is that pursuant to Standing Order 1083H and in light of new media reports, the committee undertake an immediate study into Minister Randy Boissonnault's allegations of fraud and contraventions of ethics and lobbying laws, that the committee invite Minister Randy Boissonnault, Kirsten Poon, Stephen Anderson of Global Health Imports, and the Ethics Commissioner to testify individually in addition to any other relevant witnesses, and that the committee report its findings to the House.
This is appalling. Like, he's getting sued privately, and he's got breach of ethics and the code of conduct in Parliament. This guy, like, how does this guy not go to jail? on both fronts. These guys are all just absolute crooks. So it's 110 million off the one and 8.5 off the other. Why? I don't understand. There's so many questions. Like, why would they be sued for so much? Were they just stealing all the money? Like, what is going on? So we've got a couple more clips here. We've got one from Michael Barrett in the House of Commons. And we also have the NDP who are asked about this and what they thought.
The employment minister has been caught in shady lobbying, and we can see that this prime minister and his government certainly aren't worth the cost or the corruption. The minister was caught cashing checks from a lobbying firm that was lobbying his own government, his own ministry. How much taxpayer cash did this minister and his company shove in their pockets? How much? How much? How much?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Let him speak.
Order.
Get him to speak.
Order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, the minister has always followed the very strict ethics rules that apply to him as an elected official. Canada has one of the strictest ethics regimes in the world for elected officials, and that is
Look at this. She's not buying it. She's laughing too. She probably knows he's corrupt.
exactly what Canadians expect. The minister has always conducted himself in an ethical manner that follows the spirit and letter of those rules.
That's right. Good answer.
The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Well, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, we know that the fish rots from the head down. And this Prime Minister twice found guilty of breaking ethics laws, along with multiple members of his front bench and his back bench. We know that the minister tried to hide that he was getting money from his company that was lobbying his own government, even his own ministry, but he got caught. Global News reported it, and now we're asking him about it. So instead of having the government House Leader protect him from his own accountability, his own actions, will he stand up today and tell us how much money he took?
Every day there's just like, this is like another Arrive scam 2.0. Like, how many millions did all these losers steal from us? I can only imagine that the Canadian people are on the verge of not paying taxes ever again, because if you're just going to have your money stolen and not, provided service from the government, why would we bother paying taxes? If these keep happening, by the time next year rolls around, I don't think anyone's going to be paying taxes. At this point, we're going to have to see someone go to jail for, Christian Firth, all his contacts, Min Doan, Randy Balsanow. Next up, we got the NDP asked about this, and that's what they had to say.
New Democrats heard troubling information released by the media in regards to the Minister of Employment and Social Development, Mr. Randy Balsanow. We know that any potential conflict of interest or the perception of conflict of interest is something Canadians take seriously and New Democrats take very seriously. We're calling on the Office of the Ethics Commissioner to properly investigate and to provide recommendations in their investigation as to the trueness of this claim, and to advise on ways that parliamentarians across the board can ensure that these instances don't continue to happen. We know there's a pattern in this Liberal government previously of issues of ethics breaches, and we want to make certain that Canadians know that New Democrats stand firm and in support of an investigation by the Ethics Commissioner to the claims made by the media in relation to a conflict of interest of the minister.
With ethic breaches, why doesn't the government get dissolved and it switches to the official opposition? That would keep them honest. So if any one of them has a breach of ethics, they lose power. How about that? This is just garbage. So many losers in Parliament. It's crazy.
Riley, just on the story that was released today, is it your view that Mr. Balsanow broke or potentially violated any ethics laws here?
I think it's important to know that a perception of conflict of interest and an actual conflict of interest do harm to Canadians' perception of our institutions and our ability to trust them properly. But there's actually an Office of Ethics Commissioner who's responsible for this work. Members of Parliament, we don't have all the resources that the Office of the Ethics Commissioner does have, and so that's why today we're calling on the Office of the Ethics Commissioner to take seriously these claims and to properly investigate.
And Global News also published a separate story earlier this week in terms of the business ties that he had to a lobbyist who lobbied 6 federal departments and the PMO. What do you make and what does the NDP make of those ties to this lobbyist?
There's a huge issue, from Arrive Can to other issues, of this tremendous kind of concern of lobbyists, this shadow public service that exists. We just had recently Mr. Firth present in a historic contempt case here in Parliament, another instance of the Liberal government using lobbyists and using insiders to ensure that they actually have access to the things that they need to be done, which isn't fair for Canadians, it isn't fair to the public service, which is also in addition to why we're calling the Ethics Commissioner to do the job of investigating this properly and to actually recommend solutions to end this kind of ongoing conflict or perception of conflict of interest.
At this point, we have all these breaches of ethics. It's like the trust is gone in the government. There's no trust. Are they just going to go back there and like change the documents, change some numbers? Oh, yeah, no, he wasn't in breach. Like, that's what we're all expecting here. How do we not know that the ethics officer isn't going to be compromised or bribed? Like, if he's found guilty of these, he should be put in jail for like 10 years and have double the money he stole given back. So take back all the money and an extra. So if it's 10 million, we take 20 million back, 10 years in jail. He needs to be punished for this crap if this pans out that this is exactly what the Arrive scam 2.0 going on here. With one thing just after another here, you can only imagine. Let's look at the polling numbers of the Liberals. We'll look at it right now, actually, and then we'll see what happens. I bet it's just going to keep going down. So this page on Abacus data here, they've got some interesting data. Impression of Justin Trudeau. The red is negative, going all the way up, and positive all the way down. Pierre Poilievre, people's perception is going up. Jagmeet Singh, perception going down, negativity up. Here we are, 41 to 21. This just keeps going down and down and down. Preferred Prime Minister. Budget impact on impressions of government. More negative feeling. That budget didn't do anything. On 338 Canada here, this is kind of like the average. It's got right here, 42. So it's going up point by point. Liberals going down. NDP has gained a little bit of traction. I guess, why? Why? At this rate, though, NDP is getting close to passing the Liberals. All right, let's jump over to my group here for some memes. Is Justin Trudeau a wacko? Yes. I saw this earlier today. New gender says you can identify as seasons. 'Tis the gender season. You can identify as a season now. As you can see, I said stupidity like this is just as bad as flat earth. Yeah. This is so dumb. Can we just stop being stupid? Like, please. You can't identify as a season. We're not planets. We're humans. The earth is not flat. Let's just move on. Shown here, the world's largest prison. Oh, God. You dropped it. So something I've recently learned, the Palestine protesters are paid to go out there. That's how they have money to do it. They're being paid to go out there and cause a ruckus. I don't know who's paying them, but I've heard from multiple RCMP and a few other sources, they're being paid. Say goodbye to Canada. Our nation is lost. Yeah, sadly. Here we have a bumper sticker from 1971. Let the East have Trudeau, let the West have freedom. Like father, like son, I guess. They're both complete losers. Ottawa Circus, come see the wacko. Okay. This face, man. That's when he was doing that speech for Ukraine and he was all powered up like, ah. He was getting heckled. That's why he was all pissed off. He was being heckled during that speech. Wacko off to Ottawa. It was a Bert and Ernie. Whack the wacko. Unless you drive this, then you need this. Yes. There's no Flintstone cars. Maybe there's a business there. Do you support Trudeau? No. No, but in yellow. This needs to be reality. Yeah. If I pay my carbon tax, the weather will get gooder. Yeah. That's what we're going to end today's episode. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about all this. Randy Balsanoe just stealing our money? Is that what's going on here? It's just appalling, man. Every one of these guys are just terrible humans. They're just bad people. If they were at least good people but had different ideas on policies, they wouldn't let Canada get to where it is today. But they're just bad people. Like, are there any Liberals that are actually good humans, or are they all just complete trash? It's just getting too much now. It's like it burns the nerves in your brain just seeing every day, oh, this guy stole 100 million. Oh, this guy's fraud for this and fraud. Oh, blah. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the memes. Those are fun. Keep posting those. I quite enjoy those. The angry Ukrainian Trudeau one is mint. That's... Anyways, thanks for watching the end of the video here. I greatly appreciate all of you. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you get notified of all my videos. I've got some new merch down below. I've got at least I think so. There should be new merch down below. Save Canada. We've got some other ones coming up, some new stickers, hats, all that kind of good stuff. If you want to check that out. I'll keep bringing you guys the news. We'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys on the next one.